Good morning to all the present. My name is Luis Fernando and I'm going to talk about TSMC. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's a brief outline of the topics I'm covering off. Next slide, please. Okay, first I want to start with some interesting quotes. The first one is, "Successful investing is about managing risk, not avoiding it," by Benjamin Graham. And the second one is, "Never stop investing, never stop improving, never stop doing something new," by Bob Parsons. I want you to take into consideration these quotes because they are related to the topic. Yes. Okay, so anyone has an idea before reading of what does TSMC means?
No.
Okay.
Microchips, no?
Yes, but TSMC, the acronym stands for Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. It's the largest company dedicated to the most advanced technologies on the world that currently exists. This foundry works and supplies the most biggest companies regarding technology. This is because those companies, their products have to be manufactured in this foundry because of the specialized microchips. Next slide, please. Okay, so their history. By the late 1980s, Taiwan had already become an electronic powerhouse. This means that the technology in Taiwan has been an augment, and that technology has been rising in terms of quality. The PC industry was still in its infancy, and Taiwan's best-known exports were pirated clones of the widely popular Apple II and components for televisions. The microchips are strongly related to the PCs, but later on we will see that they are not only used for the PC components, and they are also used for the automotive industries and some other kind of electronic devices. Okay, so by the 1970s, Taiwan's Industry and Technology Research Institute, or the ITRI, was the first company to start taking some actions to this industry, and also some of the workers that worked there was the Chin Shi and Maurice Chang. These were employees and pitched a similar plan to the Netherlands-based Philips Electronics, and this led to the creation of the TSMC by 1987. Chang betted for the specialization of the manufacturing of the microchips rather than the design that in those times the other companies were investing on. Next slide, please. Okay, so what does TSMC fabric? As I already said, they fabricate microchips which are used in any type of electronic device that requires one. PCs, smartphones, vehicles, microphones, fridges, and speakers are some of the examples that use the microchips. Next slide, please. So, can anybody tell me which are these logos? Yes.
Enterprises of technology.
Yes, but can you say the name of some of those?
Apple.
What? Apple?
Yeah.
Right. And I have another question for you. Which things does these companies have in common?
They only make technology.
Yes, they all are dedicated mostly into the technological segment of the industry. Next slide, please. Okay, so which is the competence of TSMC in their market segment? Some of the competence they have is Samsung, Global Foundries, SMIC, and Intel. It is important to remark that TSMC is a chip maker, designer, and a producer. Some of these companies, such as Samsung, don't have the necessary equipment to produce these chips, they only design them. Next slide, please. Okay, so there is the geopolitics in this part of the TSMC that it makes an appearance because of the breakdown of its revenue by region. They mostly sell the 65% of their revenue, and also one of their biggest competence is the company SMIC, which is the Shanghai-based Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation. This company has grown similar to how the TSMC context and background, because they have been supported by governments of China, and they are mostly kind of a threat for this company. But regarding the technology and all the specialized equipment, TSMC is likely to stay well ahead from any Chinese or American competitors because of the high investment in the technologies. Next slide, please. Okay, their installations. Their installations in the TSMC fabrics are very specialized. They have been declared safest and cleanest than even some hospitals. The workers here use specialized suits in the army because of the high temperatures and special control they have to take in regarding the microchips because of their high temperature they take while performing. And also they have these wafers in which they cut, and after 6 or 8 weeks of testing, they are separated individually in order to go out to the market. Next slide, please. Okay, so the status of TSMC. The price of the TSMC shares on the stock market reaching $66.40. The market capital of $313,000 million USD, turning into the biggest semiconductor company in the world. As for the factories, it is estimated that TSMC has a 51.9% market share in the manufacture of semiconductors. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we can see a graph from the 2009, from the first trimester of 2019 to the second trimester of 2021. In the beginning, we can see that the blue bar is of TSMC. This is because it is the largest semiconductor company in the market. And also, as the time goes through, we can see the rising of a general rise of how the revenues were coming to the companies regarding the semiconductor market. This is because of the pandemic and the instant necessity that the companies have to digitalize from one day to another. Next slide, please. Okay, so how do they reach their success? At the beginning, no one had hopes on the business model that TSMC wanted to apply in the market, and also one of the biggest companies in the world, which is in the USA, it's Intel. They rejected a capital injection to this Taiwanese company. As Boom, senior capital management analyst at consultancy Access, explains, companies like Qualcomm, Apple, or Nvidia only design semiconductor ICs or integrated circuits, but they usually don't have the equipment or the machines to make them. TSMC does. With some of very expensive equipment, and setting up a factory typically requires an investment of several $1 billion, with the risk that technology will quickly become obsolete. Many other companies have reached the conclusions that it is better to make to go and send produce their microchips to TSMC regarding instead of making them by themselves with their own brand name. They keep constantly improving and investing in their technology for the microchips. Next, please. There is the Apple example in which the AP chips and the advantage they give to their devices because of the quality of the microchips they were served at the TSMC foundry. And this simulation of success made TSMC stay at the top of this industry. Next slide, please. The current situation regarding today's background is that the pandemic brought the necessity to digitalize to all the world from one day to another, making this an opportunity for TSMC. Next slide, please. And also, there are here several points for the success of the TSMC. There's the digitalization, also the dependence in TSMC for their products, the large capital investments, their high technology developed, the political influences that Taiwan has made in order to make TSMC grow, and the high cost that the machinery needs for fabricating these microchips has made other companies, instead of producing them by themselves, start contact TSMC for making their products. So conclusion, TSMC has identified the emerging technological segment with the technological development in Taiwan and industrial manufacturing microchips. They are positioned as a world leader in chips. Although they are currently in a bottleneck, they won't lose their position because there is no other competence at the level of the TSMC company. Next slide, please. Okay, so thank you for your attention. And is there any question or answer? Is there any questions?
Who is like the client of TSM of that company? Who is the biggest client that they have?
Their biggest clients, I would say that there are two. It is the AMD and NVIDIA. This is interesting because TSMC has a non-discriminative politics in which they sell their products to fierce companies, which are holding, as you may know, NVIDIA and AMD are the strongest competitors towards the graphics sector in the computers industry. Is there any other question?
Which products return microchips from TSMC?
So there I know two of these companies. There are Volkswagen and Ford, the main automotive industries, which in some of their vehicles require the microchips that are sold and produced in TSMC. Is there any other question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this SMC have a market competitor, and if it has, which competitor is?
Which one? Sorry?
The market competitor.
Yes. And which one?
So if it has a market competitor, which is?
Okay. The most tight competitor towards TSMC, I would say that it's Intel, because of the political support it has given by the President Donald Trump and the current President Joe Biden. They have already made some support with the injection of some capital, around $20 billion for the Intel to make their own foundries instead of buying from the TSMC. And mainly because of the 60% of the microchips are produced in Asian countries.
So if they have this big support, why do you think that these other companies have not had the success that TSMC has?
That's interesting, and I'll tell you why. Mainly because that TSMC identified this opportunity earlier than expected from other companies. As I said, they focus on the manufacturing of the microchips instead of the designing. By the 1980s, I think I remember, it was when other companies specialized in the designing instead of the manufacturing. So by today's time, the TSMC has already developed more knowledge and more business about it. They have industrialized and almost have a monopoly towards the microchip sector. Okay, so is there any other question? Okay, thank you for your attention.